Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Take yourself back with me to 1993. And there must have been, I don't know, every single day at school, we'd go to the lunch table at lunchtime, and I'd sit with my nerdy comic book nerd friends and D&D friends, and we'd have these conversations like, who would win in a fight? Who would win in a fight, Batman versus Wolverine? The answer is Batman.
Oh, come on.
The answer is Batman. Look, you can't see, this is exactly why you get in these conversations. We could discuss this later. All right, that's why I led with that one. Then you can have conversations like, who would win in a fight? You know, Firelord versus Silver Surfer. Obviously, Silver Surfer. Who would win in a fight between Firelord and Human Torch? Obviously, Firelord. EK struggling to get his mic running. You want to talk about this Batman thing?
I just want to mention a game. Have you heard of Super Fight?
Yeah.
This reminds me of Super Fight.
Yes.
This concept.
Absolutely. And that's the kind of 1990s lunchroom thing we had. And so eventually, you know, over the course of the years at the lunch table, you're getting through the A tier, Superman versus Hulk. You know, you get yourself through the B tier, Blue Beetle versus Booster Gold. You know, then you start working yourself into the C tier. And when it comes to the Avengers, there's like the C tier of the C'est of all C-listers of the Avengers is Hawkeye. And so when you'd have these conversations, you may, please, Hawkeye is awful. I mean, you know, you could say something like Hawkeye versus a snowplow. Who would win? Guess what? Snowplow wins. How? Do you hear what happened to Jeremy Renner? EK finally gets it. All right, too soon? Look, I'm seriously, all prayers out to Jeremy Renner. We're going to be talking a lot about prayers today because those pictures, I wrote this joke before I saw the pictures. So I feel bad, but I felt like I had to do it.
Holy hell, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, but the answer for Hawkeye versus Snowplow, answer is Snowplow. All seriousness, I hope he gets well soon because he looks like he really got chewed up. On another similar note, pray for Damar Hamlin. I never heard about this guy until this horrible thing happened to him. He took a hit in the game. He's a Buffalo Bill. I should know who he is. His number is 3. I definitely should know who he is. But I don't care that much about football because stuff like this happens in football. And so, keep him in your prayers because he took a hit. It was like a medium level hit, if you ask me. He actually
He had a heart attack.
I know, it stopped his heart. And it's not uncommon for people to like pass out at a sporting event and stuff like that. Usually it's like a blood pressure thing, something like that. And you pass out. And when you pass out in a sporting event and athletic, things, it's your body saying, hey, we need to regulate your blood pressure and your breathing. And so that's what all that's about. But it is very uncommon for someone to come up and say, oh, there's no pulse. And that is very uncommon, very scary. And I can't tell you what a beautiful thing it was to see all those people get down on their knees and pray for Damar Hamlin, because that's the only time anyone should be getting down on their knees on a football field, if you ask me. It's because when you need to petition the Lord on behalf of your friend, your teammate, your opponent, some stranger you never heard of until this incident, for your fellow human being, And I think that's a good thing. It shows a lot of the true nature of America's character, what's happening around this incident. So I haven't seen much about his updates. I haven't been keeping up to the minute and so forth, but hopefully he pulls through. And all of you people out there who are like, said, oh, you got the vaccine, is the effects of the vaccines. Hold your horses. Cool your jets, okay? There's a lot of reasons why this kind of thing can happen. And I remember when I was playing Little League, somebody two kids got mad at each other, and one of them whipped a baseball at him. And the coach got real mad, and he sat us all down. And we had this conversation about a kid he knew who got hit in the chest with a baseball, and it stopped his heart. So this isn't completely unheard of, all right? So don't jump the gun and start blaming the vaccine, all right? You can certainly ask the questions later. All right. But for right now, it's more likely that there's some sort of athletic thing. And if he does have that condition where your heart can stop sometimes if you get hit in the chest, like in between heartbeats, I think it is, or something like that. Yeah. I mean, he may not play again, no matter what. And as somebody who's worked so hard to get to the professional level and just got there, from what I understand, he's new. And so that's got to be heartbreaking, super heartbreaking. So keep him in your prayers. So I just want to get all that important stuff out of the way. One really out of context joke, and talk about, how much I really do care about people by making fun of Jeremy Renner. Get better, guys. Get better. Anyway, welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. Happy New Year. It's a new year. I remember like on the morning, I guess I didn't drink enough on New Year's Eve, because on the first, this is when I woke up and started writing stuff. I don't know. It's like for 2 weeks off, I was really getting on the verge of getting bored. But I did really need the rest. I'm ready to work now, though. I'm ready to work now. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Over the break, actually New Year's Eve, I think I updated the patrons. You can become the $3 patron. You can become the $13 associate producer, or you can become the $31 executive producer. I upgraded the tiers, so if you guys want to become more involved, you can definitely become more involved. I was kind of vague about like the benefits and perks that you'd get as in these things, because I want to plan it more carefully, depending on how many patrons and how many producers I get, and like plan like do something like a Christmas time, maybe send you all a t-shirt, but that seems impractical because I'd have to get all your sizes. I mean, I got to get all your email addresses, your physical mailing addresses anyway. So anyway, I'll work that all out by the end of the year. And that'll be like my big year-long project, is to get, value out to my patrons. So go check me out there, patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I would appreciate it. If you just want to send me money through Cash App, if you're Donald Trump and you're watching and you're just like, I like this guy, he's pretty funny. I love that Jeremy Renner joke because that guy's a douche. Or something, he doesn't sound like a douche anyway. Jeremy Renner. If you want to send me money, Donald Trump, use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio. I guess under $600. Was it, or $900? $600, right?
For what?
Yeah, a transaction under $600 or over 600? Under $599. Donald Trump right there. Also, follow me on social media at Donaldsaw. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and SL Roberts 13 on Instagram. I would appreciate it. Donald Trump follows him. I follow him on Twitter, even though I don't tweet. Come on, Trump. Get back on there. Get back on there. Anyway. It's like I've spent all this money and spent all this money at Truth Social. Anyway, I also have books available for digital download on Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. Download my books. Exit 13, The Ravings of a Madman, and The Bunny Years, a memoir. I want to take it down a little bit because the rest of the show is going to ramp up after this next part, because there's something I was thinking about over the holidays, like a friend that I never had. And let me tell you something about like after you get out of boot camp and after you get out of A school and you get to your first command, you're basically like traveling through 3 different commands within the period of like a year and a half when you join the Navy. And it's a very lonely time. Not only are you like cooped up with a bunch of dudes most of the time, you're very, you long for female company and attention and stuff like that. It starts to wear on you after a bit. But not only that, but especially if you're hopping around from different command to different command, right at the beginning of your, time in the Navy, you finally get to your command and you end up in Norfolk or, San Diego or something like that. And you end up there and you don't know anybody, and you're just, I just love to go to dinner with a friend, have some beers with a friend, and it just so happens I was in this position when I first got to Norfolk in my command. I didn't really know anybody. I knew other people that I went to like boot camp and A school with that were coming to Norfolk as well, but they were also in processing and, getting involved. But I got this call from this guy I was in boot camp with, and he's like, "Hey man, I was looking people up, and I saw your name, and I gave you a call. I was wondering if you want to come and hang out and get a drink." I was like, "Hell yeah, dude. Let's go get a drink." And he's like, "Yeah, meet me down at this hotel down in Norfolk, and I got this little seminar going on there, and we'll go do that real quick, and then we'll go get a drink or something." And I was like, "Okay." So I think maybe he's running a seminar or something like that. I don't know why I thought that, but I can't seem to remember his name though. it was like Hobart or Holton or something like that. Anyway, so I get down there and he's wearing like a suit and a tie. And I'm in like a jeans and a t-shirt, you know. It was like 90s, so I was probably like a flannel. So Dave Matthews t-shirt and a flannel. And so so I just show up there and he's like, hey man, I feel like underdressed. And he's like, no, it's cool. I'm actually, I'm kind of working. And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm kind of working. I'm getting a bunch of people down here to listen to this seminar. And basically, just to sum it all up, he was involved in some Invigoron program, one of those multi-level marketing schemes that, we've all, I feel like we all should have like been involved with at some point. So you understand like, this is not a good business. This is not a good way to live my life. I need to move on to something better. And so I started to understand is like, he's just trying to put butts in seats so he can do this pitch for this water filtration company or something like that, to get me to buy water filters or something. And so I was like, okay, fine. You wrote me in, you got me good, and so I sat through the seminar and I came to him afterwards and I was like, hey man, why are you involved in this? Aren't you still in the Navy? He's like, yeah, I'm still in the Navy. I just got to my new first command. So I'm just got this new job. I want to make that paper, want to make that money. And I was like, and I gave him a brief synopsis of how I was, before I joined the Navy, I sold vacuum cleaners and I sold perfumes. And I've been a part of this kind of aggressive sales tactics before. Then I told him, I think it's immoral. I think it's not good. I think that you need to get out of this. After all, you have another job. And I also had the question is like, what happens when you get deployed? It was like this, come back when you come back. I was like, well, I guess businesses around naval bases and stuff like that got to deal with that pretty regularly. So anyway, I had a lot of questions about what it's like to work a part-time job apart from being in the Navy. And so, I was like, yeah, he's like, I got to talk to these guys. I think I got a couple sales here. I want to talk to these guys. I'm going to take a half hour or so. But afterwards, you want to go get a drink? And I was like, no, it's cool, man. I'll just find my way back to the base. And I never saw him again. And so, be careful. People are real jerks. They'll rope you into something. And it just so happens he caught me at a vulnerable time in my life where I was just aching for a conversation, aching for, a friendship. I knew him in boot camp, but I mean, not real closely. I mean, he was a nice guy. He was another section leader. He was fairly squared away and, but I never really got to know him. But apparently, I guess he went through like the cruise book from our boot camp and started looking up names in the naval directory. Anyway, I swear it all gets better from here. That was just a bummer of a story I wanted to tell about how I almost made a friend. Anyway, it's all right. I got good friends now. So over the break, I watched The Secret of NIMH again. But this isn't going to be a review. I mean, obviously this film is a 12 or 13 star movie. But I just had some questions I need to ask about Mrs. Brisby. According to Nicodemus, all but 2 mice died during the escape from NIMH. And they were Mr. Ages and Jonathan Brisby. Now, the mice and rats of NIMH all got those injections to make them smart. So could they read and form religions and morality? After that, they could read and form religions and morality, and that's pretty awesome. But after escaping NIMH, Jonathan met and married Mrs. Brisby, a quote-unquote normal mouse. Now, I can understand Jonathan's kids being smart and being able to read, but why is Mrs. Brisby so smart? She didn't get the treatment at NIMH, so why is she so clever? I mean, I don't wish that she was dumber or anything. I just want to understand the control group. I guess I could understand that Jonathan could have taught his wife to read, but I think that it's more likely that Jonathan's smart genes were sexually transmitted to Mrs. Brisby. Now, I like the rats of NIMH, especially characters like Justin and Nicodemus, who acknowledge that it's wrong of them to steal electricity from the farmer, even though the farmer is doing everything in his power to eradicate them. Yeah, come and tear up that rose bush. I don't care. These smart rats are driving me nuts, and my power bill is through the roof. But how much smarter did that injection at NIMH make the rest of the mice? And if Mrs. Brisby of the control group can be taught to read, did the injection really do that much? Here's another thing. Almost every rat and mouse is fully clothed, meaning that like Adam and Eve, they are self-aware and have found some shame. But Mrs. Brisby is only wearing a cape. And no one mentions the half-naked lady mouse wandering around the rose bush. Not one rat ever said, "Come on, lady, even Mr. Ages knows enough to wear something more modest." Maybe they were all just enjoying the free show. Like if Scarlett Johansson addressed Congress bare-ass naked saying, "My son Timmy is sick." All those dudes would just nod like crazy. "Yes, tell me more. Tell me more. You have my full and undivided attention." Anyway, that's just something that was boggling my mind when I was watching that movie again. I guess it was before puberty the first time I saw that movie. It was like, why is she so smart? Did Jonathan Brisby have smart spunk? Is that where the mutagen is? Transmitted sexually. I want to tell you something about like heartbreak real quick. There's this girl I've been trying to talk to. She hasn't spoken a word to me, won't speak to me. Her name's Alexis. She is a dealer at that casino video game I play. She's a dealer, and so she's like 5'7", short dark hair. Wears like teal or aqua green lipstick. Kind of a looker. Kind of got that goth thing that I dig. I've always digged about chicks. I like that goth thing. She no visible tattoos, but they make them dress very modestly at the casino. And I've been trying to talk to her. I've been trying to get her number, trying to like, hey, what time you get off shift, and I'll, we can go get a drink or something. But she doesn't speak a word to me. And there'll be other players. They'll be coming around and saying like, "What are you doing? Why are you talking to her?" I was like, I think she's cute. Let's, maybe she wants to go out on a date or something. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy, and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about? She's an NPC." And I get so mad sometimes when people say that. She's an NPC? That's incredibly rude. That's incredibly rude. Look, from my perspective, 99% of you are NPCs. So why should I think there's a difference between her and any of you? All right? So hopefully one of these days I'm going to get Alexis's phone number, and we're going to fall in love and live happily ever after while she's, dealing craps, I'll just live in a hotel room above eating room service, podcasting every now and then.
That sounds like a sitcom.
Guy Barry's an NPC. You're all NPCs to me, all right? But, I'm not that rude about it. Anyway, I want to talk about one more thing before I went in the news, before we go into the news, excuse me. We already went there and came back. I guess we're talking about Jeremy Renner and Damar, what's it, Hamlin. Excuse me. I was thinking about how when I lived in Lake Placid, New York, there was this house that was like 3 or 4 houses down, and it had been deserted forever. And I remember we'd go out in the woods and we'd find old beer bottles and stuff like that. Or we'd find fresh beer bottles because some teenagers were hanging out by the lake or something like that, and they just dumped their beer bottles in this, behind a bush or something like that. We found a bunch of beer bottles. And so we take them down to this empty lot, and there's a ton of sand at this lot, tons of sand. And we'd fill these beer bottles full of sand and just throw the beer bottles at a brick wall and watch it blow up, the sand go everywhere and form like a mist. And it was like, oh, it's like an awesome explosion. And spend an entire Saturday filling beer bottles with sand, glass bottles with sand, and throwing them at a brick wall. And I feel bad for every child that's been born since me that's never done that, because, glass bottles, very rare these days. You don't just find them lying in the woods and so forth anymore. You know what I mean? So, because kids will break them. And be broken glass everywhere, And next thing you know, you got, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. And so, but I've thought about those experiences where it's just some boring summer day, and all we could find was fill bottles full of sand and throw them at a brick wall. And how simple that entertainment was in comparison to what kids these days are doing. Kids these days, they got all this technology at their fingertips and never understood the visceral nature of there's broken glass everywhere. You've been throwing bottles at this wall all day, and there's broken shards everywhere. You're going to get a cut. Somebody's going to get a cut. Oh, I'm going to go home and get a Band-Aid real quick. Don't break all the bottles before I get back. You know, I mean, it's just something that kids these days probably will never experience. You know, and I feel a little sadness in my heart because, you know, that was my experience and I had a blast. You know, it was incredibly simple entertainment. Anyway, I guess I'm being nostalgic. Should old acquaintance be forgot? Well, yeah, it should be forgotten if you invite me to some multi-level marketing scheme. People say like, you know, these serial killers make lists. And it's like, no, they've always had a list. It's called a directory. And they just start crossing names off, you know. It's like that scene in, I forget what Adam Sandler movie where he calls up to apologize. And Steve Buscemi's and he has this list and he crosses his name off the list and puts on lips. Billy Madison? Yeah. It's more like that. It's like, you know, just who not to kill. Anyway, it's all joking. It's all jokes. All we do is jokes, except for the news worth knowing, which we're getting into right now. All right, let's talk about this boring stuff first. Get it out of the way. All right. Lauren Boebert speaks out on not supporting Kevin McCarthy for House Speaker. Representative-elect Lauren Boebert from Colorado said she didn't vote for Kevin McCarthy to become House Speaker because he rejected a common-sense proposal put forth by herself and two colleagues that reportedly would address border security and term limits. I'll read this next paragraph and then I'm done with this story. We have been in negotiations with Kevin McCarthy since summer. Unfortunately, in the summer, when these negotiations began, they were not taken seriously because our votes didn't seem to matter as much as they do in the slim majority now, she said Tuesday on a special report. All right. So if you may or may not know, Kevin McCarthy is like thrice not won the speakership. And like I said, I'm not up to the minute on the news. There's apparently something going on. I know Tim Pool went live around like an hour ago or so, an hour and a half ago, talking about it. He's been really interested in all this because, you know, it makes the Republicans look bad. And I appreciate, you know, a lot of the people who revel in it because they have a good reason to revel in the fact that the Republicans look like, you got control, but what are you going to do with it? You can't even agree with most yourselves, you know? And that's the whole point. It's like, you know, Democrats are in lockstep down the line. They want their guy, you know? And so the Republicans can't seem to do that. And, you know, I kind of like Lauren Boebert, but, you know, you're not going to solve all these problems today. This is not the time for that fight. Today's fight is to vote for the speaker, and you should vote for the speaker who's going to, you know, be of your party. Then you can start talking about being able to, like, get the votes to pass a bill through. All right? Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the things you're going to vote on. And I respect a congressperson's right to say, if you want to earn my vote, I want to know you're going to be working on the projects I want you to work on, like term limits and the border security. Border security should be universal. I think every congressperson should be interested in that. However, I think term limits should also be universal, but I'm realistic enough to know that there's tons and tons and tons of congresspeople who do not want term limits because that is just taking money out of their pocket. All right? But you put in term limits, you get rid of people like Nancy Pelosi. You get rid of people like Joe Biden. People who make politics a career, and politics should not be a career. It should be a term of service. You know, it should be like the duty I did in the military. All right. Yes, you can spend 20 years in the military, but I don't think that you should spend 20 years in Congress. Anyway, these are not today's fights, Lauren Boebert and the 19 others who voted against him. This is not the time for that fight. Democrats all sitting back, laughing their asses off. Anyway, like I said, it's going to ramp up. The last news stories are good. Trust me. All right, so let's talk about this one. Brian Kohberger is on his way to Idaho to face murder charges. So they got this guy. They got this guy who killed those people in Idaho. So Idaho suspect Brian Christopher Kohberger allegedly they caught him, is on his way to Moscow to face charges for the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students, a source told Fox News.
Moscow?
Yeah. Moscow, Idaho.
Oh.
Yeah. He's like, is it a prisoner exchange? They got another basketball player?
Things really getting out of control.
Brittany Griner's really out of control, he said. Anyway, so 28-year-old Koberger, he left Monroe County Correctional Facility in Pennsylvania, according to Warden Gary Heidel. He is no longer in my custody, he said. He is in the custody of Pennsylvania State Police. Hot potato, right, sir? Anyway, law enforcement source told Fox News Alexis McAdams that Idaho and Pennsylvania authorities are working together on returning him to Moscow. He was slated to fly out this morning. It wasn't immediately clear if he already boarded the plane, the source added. The Washington State University PhD student waived extradition at a hearing in Monroe County Court Tuesday afternoon. PhD student called it. Judge Margarita Worthington. That's an awesome name. Judge Margarita Worthington. Anyway, asked Koberger in court if his distraught parents and 2 sisters looked on from the gallery if he waived his right to challenge his arrest for the quadruple homicide. Yes, I do, he replied, wearing a red jail issue jumpsuit and shackles on his wrists. Koberger was arrested by local police and the FBI Friday at his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The teaching assistant, who studies at the university's Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology, had been living in Pullman, Washington, in an on-campus apartment, 10-minute drive from the rental home where the University of Idaho students were stabbed to death. Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Jana Kernodle were all ambushed in their sleep in the early morning hours of November 13th and each stabbed multiple times with a large fixed-blade knife. As police desperately searched for the suspect, Koberger wrapped up the semester, then drove cross-country with his father in his white Hyundai Elantra to Pennsylvania for the winter break. Moscow police have been looking for a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra that was spotted near the crime scene at the time of the murders. The FBI, in partnership with other law enforcement agencies, used genetic genealogy to track down Koberger and then match his DNA to a sample he left at the crime scene, a law enforcement source told Fox News. I told y'all people doing those 21andMe, 23andMe, I told y'all. Don't do that. Next thing you know, they're going to be cloning you.
Life in crime.
Exactly. If you do that, fine. Just don't get involved in crime. Yeah. If you've done that, you need to change your career. Koberger could face a death penalty if convicted of 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. Yeah, of course. Yeah, tack that on too. His Pennsylvania attorney, who only represented him for the extradition matter, said Koberger believes he will be exonerated. Okay, his family also issued a statement saying they stand behind their son while recognizing the suffering of the victims' families. All right. No, first of all, he kind of looks the part. He looks like the kind of guy that'd do this. Plus, I think that when I first talked about this news story about the murdered teens, as I said that it's probably a student, probably someone who's near and around and wondering why this one dude has living in this place with 4 hot chicks, 3 hot chicks. And why don't I get one? And it's all based upon my understanding of psychology, based upon the silence of the lambs. Where does one begin to covet, Clarice? We begin to covet the things we see every day. I covet that little blonde girl, but she's always hanging out with those 2 other girls and that guy. And that guy's uglier than me. I suppose I'll stab them all to death. It seems like basic. He was a criminology student. If you ask me, like,
how did you not get away with it?
You should know better. Is that why you didn't get a PhD? You got.
I don't know what his grade point average was.
Yeah, what was his GPA? Or maybe it was like, no, it was like I'm doing my doctoral thesis on murder. So, so yeah, if I got caught, I maybe I'll still get a doctorate. I don't know. What a jerk. Anyway, I'm glad they caught him. I hope it's just him. I hope it is him. Anyway, All right, you want to get into some more positive news? I got more positive news stories because I knew I was a little, pissy, I suppose. Anyway, so social media praises ESPN's Dan Orlovsky's on-air prayer for Damar Hamlin. Powerful, brave, and genuine, in quotes. So this is amazing. ESPN football analyst and former football player Dan Orlovsky surprised and delighted sports viewers by leading a brief prayer session live on air Tuesday on behalf of Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin. Orlovsky's initiated the moment on NFL Live after coverage of Hamlin's cardiac arrest during the Monday Night Football game. Because Hamlin still remains in critical condition, Orlovsky called for additional prayers for the football player. Quote, I heard the Buffalo Bills organization say that we believe in prayer, and maybe this is not the right thing to do, but it's just on my heart, and I want to pray for Damar Hamlin right now. I'm going to do it out loud. I'm going to close my eyes and bow my head, and I'm just going to pray for him, Orlovsky said. He continued, God, we come to you in these moments that we don't understand, that are hard because we believe that you're God, and coming to you and praying to you has impact. We're sad. We're angry. We want answers. But some things are unanswerable. We just want to pray, truly come to you and pray for strength for Damar, for healing for Damar, and comfort for Damar. And be with his family and give him the peace. To give him the peace. If we didn't believe prayer that didn't work, we wouldn't ask this of you, God. I believe in prayer. We believe in prayer. We lift up Damar Hamlin's name to you. We lift up Damar Hamlin's name in your name. Amen. He concluded. Amen. So several sports fans and commentators obviously, commended Orlovsky's live prayer for Hamlin on Twitter as powerful. Indeed. Quote, Dan Orlovsky didn't just send off a praying for Damar Hamlin tweet. He paused during his NFL Live, bowed his head, and prayed. Powerful, brave, and genuine. Outkick sports writer Mark Harris wrote, this is as powerful as it gets. Praying on national TV probably it wasn't the easiest thing to do, but Dan Orlovsky did exactly that. Let's all follow his example. Keep praying for Hamlin. Clutch Points writer Joey Mistretta agreed. Faith on the Field host Rob Mahdi. Proud of you, bro, for blah, blah, blah. It's just a bunch of Twitter people, obviously impressed. It's funny because if you were praying for anything else, I really don't see how it would work on TV. There'd be a bunch of people talking about it like how this is wrong. You're pushing religion down everyone's throats and stuff like that. But, everyone in America is rooting for Damar Hamlin. And I think in these moments, all that stuff can really be cast aside. I think we all need to appreciate this moment for what it is that we are united in purpose again and reunited in hope. That I could say is like even atheists and agnostics can bow their head in prayer out of respect for Damar Hamlin and do whatever atheists and agnostics do when other people are praying. But I hope that even they are praying at that very moment, just in case. Something people who have been in combat say there's no atheists in a foxhole. And I'm sorry, it's like when all the chips are down, even atheists and agnostics, they may petition God. And I think that we need to be honest about, that we are spiritual beings. We are human beings who are spiritual in nature. And when I saw all those football players and those people in the stadium get on their knees and pray for Damar, I might cry. Hold on. It was, it was moving. It really was. And there wasn't anybody who stood around and say, wait, maybe this could be a bad look. Are we promoting religion? It wasn't, there was nothing like that. It was Damar's hurt. He's seriously hurt. And people just dropped to their knees in prayer. Whew. And that's religion in a nutshell. It's like sometimes it's like all you can do is drop to your knees, because you want to help your friends, your teammates, and stuff like that in these dire situations. But at some point, you have to pass them on to the professionals for what it's worth, and you're left there feeling powerless. And then if it occurs to you, it's like, no, I'm not powerless. I can petition the Lord on behalf of the people I care about. So, yes, keep praying for Damar Hamlin and his family.
And kudos for calling the game.
EK says kudos for calling the game. I think they should have finished it.
This ain't the theater, man.
Huh?
This ain't the theater, man.
This ain't the theater.
Must go on, you know?
But the people are already there. The rest of the teams are already there. I don't know. That's why I don't make those calls. Forgive me if I'm being a jerk. The EK painted me into a corner. It was like, all right, I didn't want to talk about that, but okay. All right, so let's go on to the next story. I'm willing to bet you saw that Waffle House employee do the ninja stuff with the chair. Okay, EK's like, all right. So how I am in love too. Okay, so here's the thing. She looks like an ex-girlfriend of mine. What's funny, because she is kind of cute. Anyway, ex-Waffle House employee recalls fighting extremely drunk customer in viral brawl. Quote, adrenaline and instinct. A former Austin, Texas Waffle House employee who became a viral sensation after coolly deflecting a chair that was chucked at her during a melee told Fox News Tuesday that her superiors rewarded her by writing her up for property damage, and she has since been blacklisted by the restaurant chain. Waffle House was trending on Twitter last week after a video of a female employee catching and slapping down a chair during a brawl at one of the chain's restaurants in Austin, Texas surfaced online. And if you haven't seen it, this chick's a superhero, the way she handles it. I mean, it was like, like Spider-Man handling the chair being thrown at him. Anyway, Haley Booth, dubbed the Waffle House Wendy for her quick reflexes and impressive deflection, spoke out in an interview on Tucker Carlson tonight. She's been on Tucker Carlson and I haven't. Anyway, that's a superhero. Tuesday, offering her side of what went on that night and how she was treated by the chain in the months following her incident. In a video posted online, Booth said that the brawl began when a large group walked in and sat in the section of the restaurant that was closed off. After being told that the section was closed off, the customers continued to sit there and started demanding service, she explained. As the only cook on site that night, Booth was struggling to keep up with the influx of orders coming in, she told Carlson. The group, she said, appeared to be extremely drunk and rowdy. All I know is that they're extremely drunk or at least intoxicated. And they're probably extremely drunk. And it was a slow night, she recalled. I was the only cook, and there were about 30 to 40 people in there that I had to cook for by myself. It was moving slow. Drunk and impatience creates a volatile situation, she said. She also said the girl started hollering and demanding employees take their orders, and after a while, she told the customers they could leave. However, they chose not to leave, she explained, and instead demanded that she, the white girl, cook their food. As demands continued, the tensions grew, and one girl wearing a leopard patterned clothing, throwing silverware, kicking plates, and kicking food. Booth said, it's always the girls wearing leopard It's always a leopard print. Anyway, after Booth threw a sugar shaker at the woman, that's her crime, a customer climbed onto the counter and fell onto the other side. She was then removed from the cooking area, at which point she grabbed a chair and threw it at Booth. That is when Booth calmly caught the chair with one hand, smacking it down to the ground. It's amazing. It all happened so fast, it was mainly a pure rush of adrenaline and instincts that had me going, Booth told Carlson. You're Spider-Woman. Anyway, instead of applauding her composure at the moment, Booth said that her boss came in and watched the security footage and wrote her up for throwing the sugar shaker, which he said amounted to destruction of property. I actually didn't get any bonus out of it. The only thing that I did get from my fight was a write-up for breaking the sugar shaker. Telling me, hey, we're going to write you up for the sugar shaker, but you did a good job of protecting the store, making sure that you were all right, she said. However, then when Booth tried to get a job at a Waffle House restaurant in a different state, 2 months later, she was told she had been blacklisted from the restaurant chain, she told Carlson. 2 months after my fight, my relationship was getting more serious, so I moved out of the city. She's got a guy. Damn it. Anyway, they had told me that I'm always welcome back at that store, so we're glad to have you back. You always have a place here. And about 6 months later, when I went back to apply to Waffle House in North Carolina, I found out that I was blacklisted and not on the do not hire list. Still, Booth told Tucker Carlson tonight that she did not believe the brawl had anything to do with her alleged blacklisting, but was more of a if we can't have you, no one can scenario. Interesting. Yeah, weird. So yeah, she has a new Twitter page, okay, called Real Wendy, Waffle House WW, Waffle House Wendy. Okay. The user at Witch Dragon to discuss the experience. GoFundMe page set up. Blah, blah, blah.
You went viral, now you can live off of it.
I guess. You're viral, you can live off it now, you guess. I guess. Here's the thing. I'm on Waffle House's side when, like, writing her up for destruction of property, because throwing the salt shaker kind of escalated things at that point. I don't know if something was thrown already, but if that's what was on the video or caught on video or the tale that actually happened, I don't know. I understand them writing her up for that, but the blacklisting, that seems a little wrong. I mean, you gotta. I'd hate to say this, but I mean, it's like everyone's got to become better at de-escalating, not just cops. You know what I mean? Everyone's got to become better at that. It's like every human being should become better at that. Anyway, and throwing a sugar shaker, is not de-escalating. It's escalating. You need to understand the difference. Anyway. All right, let's go to a sappy thing, the Hallmark movie of my news stories today. Connecticut community rallies together after Christmas food donations were stolen. Connecticut community rallied together in a touching display of generosity after a Grinch stole a resident's Christmas food donation bin from its holiday lawn display. East Hartford resident Rick Bolish is known locally for his elaborate Santa's Village display, which he has set up in his front lawn for the past 3 years. Among the life-size inflatables and the mailbox for children to send letters to Santa, Bolish displays a designated donation bin to encourage visitors to contribute items to the local food bank. Last week, Bolish was leaving his house when he noticed that the bin had been taken, he told Fox News. After he and Mayor Mike Walsh posted about the theft on Facebook, the East Hartford community came together to stop the Grinch from ruining Christmas in a scene reminiscent of the holiday classic "It's a Wonderful Life." After what happened, this is a quote. After what happened, it was like a whole Hallmark movie. Everybody came together, and it went from the Grinch stealing it to the Who's in Whoville saving Christmas again. Bolish told Fox News host John Roberts on America Reports Thursday. Within just a few days, residents dropped off over 60 bags of groceries and 2 $500 checks to the St. Mary's Food Bank, the Journal-Inquirer reported. I came home one morning and the whole front step was blocked off with bags of food and everything, which is a good thing. I had to go around the back door to get in. Bolish recalled. It's worse than your Uber Eats delivery. you put the drink right by the door, man. Anyway. The theft was devastating to Bolish, who at the time considering ending the holiday lawn display, he said. However, the community's outpouring of support restored his enthusiasm for the tradition. It's been unbelievable. And actually, Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus came by Tuesday night, came on a fire truck and a police escort. And we did fill the cruiser food drive, he told Fox News. Cool. Bolish said he hopes the person who stole the donation bin would benefit from it, acknowledging that the holidays are a particularly difficult time for the needy. I'm hoping it might have been somebody in need, he said, because I've had it for years. I've never had vandals before, and there's lots of stuff to destroy out there. Bolish said he received far more donations this year than he ever has in the past because of his community's outpouring of generosity. See, kids, crime does pay. I'm kidding, of course. Yeah, I do like his attitude. I hope the person who stole it, really needed it. Anyway. That's, I don't know, the spirit of Christmas. I felt like I didn't get to share that with you. I took those weeks off. I didn't really get to spread my holiday cheer. And, it's funny because the whole Hallmark movie joke, it's all based upon the idea of, people like happy endings. And Hallmark movies are all have those happy endings, and they're real sappy, and the community comes together at the end of It's a Wonderful Life. Everyone comes together for save George, and his forgetful drunk uncle. And so, I mean, it's let's be honest. And so, I mean, it's people like those kind of happy endings, especially at Christmas time, and I felt like I didn't get to share that with you, being gone the last couple of weeks. So I want to do that before we get into this last story here. I think my phone's ringing. I think my my number has been sold to another list. You know how they telemarketers list is like, okay, this guy doesn't answer, and then they sell them to another company because my phone has been blowing up the last 2 days. So I just don't answer them. Maybe they'll get the message too. Unbelievable. Unless it's Donald Trump calling. I could send you more than $600. I figured out a way. I know a guy. Anyway, let's go to this last news story. Have ourselves a good chuckle before we get out of here for the week. All right, so baby's outraged mom takes to TikTok after toy spews crude jokes in place of songs and sounds. Get this. An outraged mother took to TikTok recently to vent her frustration and anger about a toy purchase as a Christmas gift for a 9-month-old son that spewed off-color jokes instead of the expected baby-friendly songs and sounds. I was just coming on here because I need TikTok to do its thing, said user Ashley Lynn, who shares content on TikTok under the handle @MamaBearAsh. In a video she shared on the platform on Christmas Day. The toy, a colorful pretend TV remote control made by the Lindsay Toy Company, was a gift for her young son from her grandmother who purchased it at Walmart, Lynn said in her video. The Lindsay Toy Company's website lists its location as Tokyo, Japan. Soon after the mom opened the colorful toy for her child and loaded it with batteries, the baby began to play with it, Lynn said. She said her baby son was soon going to town chewing on the toy and pressing the buttons. However, Lynn's mom soon alerted her that the colorful toy just said something about a drive-by shooting. The frustrated mom said on TikTok, "My God." She then played that joke for her social media audience by pushing a colorful button on the toy. Right after that came a sexually themed joke about priests. Oh, my Lord. What? Lynn said in the video. It's a kid's toy, she added. There's a baby on the box. A third joke could be heard coming from the baby toy. Tom told his friend he had a job with 10,000 people under him. As Lynn demonstrated the toy by pushing a button and playing the joke on her video, toy's audio continued. His friend replied, "Wow, you must be a CEO of a corporation." Then the joke's punchline, Tom said, "No, he cuts grass in a cemetery." Lynn said the joke was kind of funny, but still, for a baby? She then played the drive-by shooting joke for the TikTok followers. Lynn ended her video by looking into the camera saying, "Walmart, explain this. Lindsay Toys, explain this." In a directive from her TikTok followers, Lynn said, "Blow this up. Do I have a lawsuit? Lawyers, help me out." The description for the toy on the Shop HQ website reads, "Light-up toy remote for toddlers and kids with ABC songs, stories, music, and fun sound effects with buttons with different shapes and textures." It continues, "Baby remote control toy lets baby's curiosity take itself to develop its exploration to learn the world." It also says colorful buttons introduce colors, numbers to keep your child's attention. Learning remote helps baby discover cause and effect, develop his cognitive and thinking ability. Wow. Writing for like a baby toy description for a baby toy. That's got to be mind-numbing work. Anyway, the toy which is also retailed on the Shop HQ site for $29.95 is listed as both sold out and not available. Uh-oh. Maybe they already knew. In an update to keep her TikTok story posted on December 31st, Lynn shared that she had reached out by email to the Lindsay Toy Company, sending the firm a photo of the toy and saying she felt the audio was very inappropriate. She said she asked the toy company, "What are you going to do about it?" The company got back to her promptly, Lynn said. It apparently told her that they had opened an investigation into the issue and that the toy would stop being sold. Mom then listed the 5 online retailers she had checked, including Lowe's, Macy's, and Office Depot, and said that the toy is not currently available on any of them. The toy, as of publication time, does not appear to be a Lindsay Toy Company website. Anyway, here's the thing. There's a lot more of this article. Bring in a psychiatrist or something. Anyway. As a person who knows a little bit about hacking and having fun with audio, you know, do you know where I'm going with this? It's probably some guy at the factory who like recorded a bunch of like MP3s or something like that. And then at the factory, in the middle of the night when, no one's there, he like switched the audio files real quick and maybe dumped it in like maybe a dozen. and made sure these dozen got in different boxes going all over the world or something like that, just to mess with people. I guarantee you that's how it got to this point. And although I do think it's hilarious, you shouldn't play practical jokes on babies, okay? Just so you know. Don't even play practical jokes with babies, right? Like, oh, I dropped your baby. No. You get slapped by mothers. Believe me, that's happened more times than I care to remember. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again to go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio, become a patron. I have updated the Patreon levels so you can get involved, become a part of the team. I'd appreciate it. I also have a Cash App. You can send me money on Cash App through hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. Follow me on social media at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I also have books available for digital download on Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. I got the Exit 13 books, the Bunny Years of Memoir, and the Ravings of a Madman. Anyway, this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.